It's a celebration of black excellence. Black tie, black Maybachs. Yeah. Black excellence, opulence, decadence. Tuxes next to the president. I'm president, I dress.
It's a pleasure to be here with you all. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you. It's a pleasure to be representing black excellence. This evening, what we're doing, we're awarding 5 young men for essays on their personal experiences and their views, what it means to them being black in America. These are 5 young men from different walks of life, different backgrounds, different ages, different stories, different struggles, with different aspirations, different goals. And it's a pleasure to be able to bring them together on one platform of expression, get them to express themselves into essay writing, which is a lost art. I'm 29 years old, and when I was 17, I wasn't encouraged to write. And as a 17-year-old male, we go through a lot. We go through stuff from family to school to community. We have a lot of struggles as young black males, and we're not encouraged to express ourselves. Really, we have sports and we have hip-hop music, and that's good as a tool to relieve yourself. But we're not into writing about our feelings, about our thoughts, about our everyday struggles. And I had the idea to bring some young men together so that they can tell their story and be honored for it. It's a pleasure, it's a great pleasure to represent black excellence with some young brothers by my side representing the same. We're here, we thank you, and we look forward to a great evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you for attending. I apologize for the delay, complication, everything as well. Everybody's here. I'm happy. You guys happy?
Yep. No doubt.
Happy? You guys excited? I'm excited for you. I honor you guys. I thank you. My name is LaShawn Marshall from Queens, South Jamaica, Queens, and most of my time in Queens. Most of my friends and throughout my work as an activist in education and teaching and things like that, people have come to know me as Sugar Ray. I work with the young men. I work with the community. I work with families who have lost loved ones to violence. I have a great passion for improving the conditions in our community. I believe that us in the urban community, we struggle in various ways. The families are upset. Economically, financially, we're in poverty. A lot of our families in my community in Queensbridge, I think it's like 70, 80% of the families are below the poverty rate, living below the poverty rate. It's terrible. We're not into education anymore. We don't read, we don't write. We don't want to go to school. Art, we use art as a form of, we have condensed art to just be music or just be dance, but art is so much more. Art is just creating your life. Art is creativity. Art is expressing yourself through the various forms. So when I had the idea for black excellence, it was just an idea. I heard Jay-Z and Kanye West say it, black excellence. And when I heard it, that's me. I embody black excellence. I am what black excellence is. So I said, how great would it be if we can create a movement and get other young men and young women to believe in black excellence, to believe that they are excellent, to strive for excellence, to seek excellence every day of their life in every area of their life. So I sat down with a friend of mine, a dear friend. I said, listen, let's create an organization. Let's put something together around a structure, right, in 5 key areas: education, culture, family, economics, and art. I said, if we can get those 5 intact, if we can get those 5, and strive for excellence in those areas, we can overcome the struggles that we have. We can get out of poverty. We can get back into education. We can be educated and highly developed group of people. Right? So I said, I woke up one day and I just wrote some thoughts. Those who know me know I love Facebook, know I love social networks. So I wrote some thoughts, long paragraph on Facebook. And what happened was, as I read it, it was a message, it was a story. So I broke down the paragraphs and said, you know what, this is an essay. And I titled it Blacks in America. And it was my expression as a young black man, what I deal with as myself, day to day in America, as a 28-year-old man. Struggles, I said, in various ways, from various areas. I said, how great would it be if we can get young brothers between the ages of 17 and 25 to write essays. 17 and 25 is the highest, is a high risk rate. 17 to 25 is a young black man. He's at risk to go to prison. He's at risk to get a young lady pregnant. He's at risk to use drugs, drop out of school, get murdered. So these young brothers are dealing with this. Let me encourage them to write, tell their story, share their views. 6 months later, we're here. We had a bunch of different brothers write essays. A lot of women wanted to write more women. Why don't do it for the women? Why don't do it for the women? I said, we'll get there. But I'm a male. I want to take care of my little brothers first. I want to get my little brothers on track. And we're here. And tonight we have 5 honorees. We have Demetri Carter from the Bronx. We have Andre Mitchell from Queens. We have Michael Raven from Manhattan. We have Michael Wallace from Queens. We have Jamel Malik from Brooklyn. And it's my greatest pleasure to be able to bestow upon someone else what I wish at that age someone had bestowed upon me. What I wish I had is my greatest honor to be able to provide for someone else, a platform to share yourself, to share your story, not only with your family, not only with your friends, but with people who don't know you, with people who, aside from tonight, will be complete strangers. So I honor you, young brothers, and I thank you for taking the time and following the importance to write about being black in America. Give these young brothers a round of applause. When I said I wanted to honor the young brothers, I said I didn't just want to honor them from myself or from my group. I said I wanted to come from a city or state representative. And when I think about all of the city representatives or state representatives that I've come to know, that I believe in, names float around in my head. There's a bunch of them. But when there was one that I think 3 or 4 years ago, I was out and we was in Bayview Park, 150th Park. We was doing Commit to Be Fit. And it was an elected official who was out there with the children, with the young people. And I spoke to him and I felt the energy and I felt the vibe and I knew and I believed that he wanted to help improve the community. And I reached out to him and said, brother, can you present some honors, some awards, some citations to these young men? He said, Sugar Ray, no problem, I got you. This time, with no further ado, I'll get some words from brother, Councilman Ruben Wills.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I didn't know I was coming up. I just came out to support Mr. Ray. I told him if he's not a boxer, or if I'm not one of my seniors from down south, I'm not calling a grown man Sugar. So that's just our joke. I'm actually honored to be here to honor you guys tonight. I think that it's important what he's doing. Everybody has heard the saying that if Martin Luther King Jr. or Malcolm X or some of our other great people in our heritage actually saw what was going on today with our young men, that they would turn over in their graves. And I think that Sugar Ray, using this, combined with some of the other great young people that we have in Southeast Queens and the city at large, creating this movement. And we have to make sure that we understand that there's a difference between a moment and a movement. A moment in time is when you get a lot of press, something may happen, but in another 6 months or a year, people may talk about it, whisper about it, but it's not something that's center point. A movement is when it's actually the focus around our kitchen tables, when we're in the barber shops and the beauty salons, and this is the thing that we're talking about. So I wanted to come out and honor you and commend you for even taking the time to write these incredible essays, and commend you for not just dressing sharp in the blue on blue on blue, but actually taking the time to do this. A lot of us, there's a saying that the best ideas are in the graveyard because people don't use their talents and energy to enact these ideas. And you have done that. You have taken it from an idea that God gave you to a vision, which the Bible clearly states that you should write down and make it plain, to actually make it and bring it to fruition. The Bible also states, and me and Erica Ford were going over today, that you should never despise the days of small beginnings. So in that, make sure that the little step that you take today, you'll understand that you need to take another step, and then it'll be greater good or the greater measure that God has for you. I commend you, young men, for what you're doing today, and I commend you, Sugar Ray, for the last, this is the first time and last time. First time and last time. And I commend you, Sugar Ray, for the great work that you're doing here today, starting tonight. Thank you, everybody.
I don't know why the brother's so stubborn. doesn't want to say Sugar Ray. Sugar Ray actually is an acronym. It's not sugar, it's sugar, S-U-G-A, which stands for smooth, understanding gentleman. Always a ray of light from the sun.
Oh, I call you Sugar now. Now you smooth. Now you talking. All right, that's cool.
Sugar Ray also
Smooth part.
growing up, Brother Kenny's from my community in my honors here, so she heard the stories. I used to fight a lot. Sugar Ray Robinson was my favorite fighter, you know, and then Ray Leonard. And to me, what they embodied was power, strength, courage, will, determination, dedication, heart, right, fearlessness. Right? And that's what I knew I had in myself. That's what I said, I have to get this out. But through all my struggles, I went from LaShawn Morrison, of course, that's my name, that's who I am. But my personality, my inside is someone greater than just a name. It's a persona. And Sugar Ray is definitely not just a name, it's an embodiment. At this time, we have a special gentleman who came a long way to share some words with you guys. Again, I reached out, you know, his brother has been doing amazing things in the arts. And he's been healing people and helping people, and not only sharing his story, but allowing others to share theirs through the arts. Those who know me and those who don't will learn that I'm an artist, I love art, I'm a poet, but I love all forms of art. When I was a child, Michael Jackson was my favorite, but I couldn't dance and I couldn't sing. So I appreciate those who can. But without any further ado, I'd like to welcome award-winning playwright. He's a playwright. I've seen some of his stuff. He's incredible work. He's worked with some incredible, extremely talented actors from right here in New York City. He's a radio personality. I was actually on his radio show a few different times, you know, promoting different things that I was doing in the community. And he has a book coming out. There's a book coming out called A Piece of Me. And I would like to introduce Brother Jermaine J. Everything Smith. Share a piece of him.
Thank you for that warm reception. I actually didn't come from too far. I came from Brooklyn, but I have been in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, trying to relocate down there. And I had the honor of, you know, visiting the First Lady, Michelle Obama. I've been working with the women veterans in Virginia, Maryland. So we had the honor of going to the White House, and I had to take a picture at the White House podium. And it was all over Facebook. Took a picture with the First Lady, so it was all over Facebook. But to give you a little bit about me, I'm a playwright. I was born in Jamaica Hospital, Christmas Day, 1975.
All right.
All right. Christmas Day. But grew up in East New York, Brooklyn, 75th Precinct. They called it Homicide Central. And it's one of the worst precincts in the city, where if you didn't have, as a young man, if your parents and your family wasn't in your life, the precinct, the cops, individuals had you doing things that you had no business doing. You would find an empty van stolen from Kennedy Airport in East New York with a gun full of guns, doors wide open. It wasn't a bait car because they wanted the guns in our neighborhood. But to get the story more close, my mother used crack cocaine, I could say for about 20, 25 years. And I just turned 37. I lost my father when I was 4. Society tells me, family told me, teachers told me, I'm supposed to be out here robbing and stealing. Wasn't a thing for me. I was never the guy for jail. I loved women and tattoos. That was my thing. But I had no guidance. You know, I mean, I run around, I wrote music for Joe to see, worked with intro, didn't get paid. I got paid in jewelry, I got paid in tattoos, I got paid in women. I left that life with no drug habits. I left that life with no sexual transmitted diseases. So God can have his hand on you.
That's right.
When you don't even know it. I sat around, I listened to my mother do things with men. I'm going to keep my words high because there are children in here. Do things that you really shouldn't hear as a child. I heard the noises, heard the sound, heard the effects, and sometimes you visually go and see because you think somebody's getting hurt at that age. My mother broke up with one young man. 2 weeks later, he's on America's Most Wanted for killing another man. These are the type of scenarios that you can put your children and your family in if you don't make the right choices. So as a young man at 8, I wrote an essay, and my teachers thought I was crazy because they knew my background and they knew where I came from. And it was just something simple as when I was 2, I wanted to be 5 so I can walk around and be on my own. When I was 5, I wanted to be a teenager so I can have my own little area and do what I want to do. When I was a teenager, I wanted to be an adult so I could be responsible. And it went on and on and on. And they actually sent me to see a psychiatrist because they knew my mother's situation. They knew my father died when I was 4, and they just wrote me off. Didn't put me in special ed. I had good grades. But you know what? This is where society can put you. Right. Society says I'm supposed to stay behind this podium and talk the rest of my 2 or 3 minutes, whatever the case is. You don't have to do that. You can venture out. I was, as my neighborhood said, I was a child of a crackhead. A month ago, I'm sitting there talking to Michelle Obama. Is it one of my highest achievements? It's cool, it's up there. I appreciate the moment. But no, God gave me the gift to see my situation and write a stage play. I was sitting in Bishop Hezekiah Walker's church in 2003. A gentleman came up to me and said, God told me to put you in my play. My first response was, because I was from the streets, well, God didn't tell me that. That was just my response. I didn't grow up in church, so I didn't know he had the discernment spirit, whatever have you. So long story short, I wrote 4 pages of the play, took it to Bishop Hezekiah Walker. He said, turn it into a play. Turned it into a play, put it on. We did 50 shows of that play. I've never wrote a play before a day in my life, but I've always been a writer. And 50 shows, close to 100 people turned their life over to God through that message about me and my mother not wanting to forgive her. We sat in the same church because she gave her life to God. Now, we sat in the same church. I wouldn't forgive her for what she did to me. But yet I sat in there and loved God who I couldn't see and touch. But I wouldn't speak to my mother. We sat on the ends of the road. But I wouldn't speak to her. And that's not what God wanted. So God had to work on me because forgiveness wasn't for her, it was for me. So I had to learn to forgive her. So if I can leave anything with you guys, if someone done wrong to you, it's a part of your journey. Whether it's your mother, your brother, your cousin, look for the positive in the negative if you can, because there's always one. There's always going to be reasons to steer to the left. But it's your job to bring it back to the right. Like he said, I'm putting a book out May 1st, and this is not a plug for the book. One of my chapters in my book is called The Condom Was Right There. A lot of people would still be alive if they would just grab that condom. You can't just say, don't do it, because people are going to do it. You can't tell them don't touch the fire, they're going to touch the fire. But there's a lot of things we can avoid if we just make the right choice.
Of course, before I met him, I heard about him. I was on the radio show and other meetings of Smith. And the stories that I heard, of what he went through and how he overcame, and what he was doing for others and giving others the opportunity, things like that. I just thought it was fascinating. So it was definitely a pleasure, brother. Thank you for the words. Appreciate it. We ancient times, we were once a tribal people. Right? We people who thought like we thought, or who liked what we liked, we would get together. Right? We naturally gravitated towards each other. We would get in a group, a circle, a crew, and we would build. We would exchange thoughts, exchange ideas, and we would share whatever it is that brought us together. Right? So when I read these young brothers' essays, even before I read their essays, when I had the concept for an essay initiative for young men, as I thought about it, as I meditated on it, and as the time went by, and as it started becoming a reality, I said, wow, what I'm doing, the essays are great. It's great. The expression is beautiful. I said, what I'm doing is bringing the village back together. Bringing the village back together. We all say that it takes a village to raise a child. That's what this is here. Maybe if not for this event, if not for this essay initiative, maybe these young brothers would have never met each other. Different boroughs, different ages, different journeys. Maybe they would have never met each other. But I'm going to take something Brother Smith said, and my aunt always said, God always has a plan. And through my trials and my tribulations, for me to have a vision, and this is the greatest thing that I've ever done. It's the greatest thing I've ever done. And I know I've done some great things, but this moment, bringing young brothers together, who maybe, as I said, aside from this moment, would have never met each other, on an even platform, regardless of your age, regardless of what you've been through, you guys are here. You guys are excellent. You guys are representing excellence. And this is the greatest thing I'll ever. Maybe the greatest thing I'll ever do is to bestow upon someone else what I wish, what I prayed and I cried. Yo, I need a big brother to be there for me, to listen. Not just to talk, not just to tell me what I need to do, right? But somebody to listen to me. Someone to let me flip, let me vent, right? Let me be angry. And don't tell me you shouldn't be like this. Don't tell me you shouldn't do this. Just be like, yo, what's up? Listen and laugh, and sometimes don't say anything. Just let me flip and walk away. That's what I that I didn't have. That's what I committed my life to being for others. Without further ado, we'd like to bring up the first honorary. We're going to read an essay. Brother Andre Mitchell. Here you have a city council citation. It says, whereas a great city is only as great as those persons who give exemplary service to their community, whether through participation in voluntary programs, through unique personal achievement in their professional or other endeavors, or simply through a lifetime of good citizenry. And whereas such service, which is truly the lifeblood of the community and the city, so often goes unrecognized and unrewarded. Now, therefore, be it resolved that as duly elected members of the New York City Council, you recognize that in Andre Mitchell, we have an outstanding citizen, one which is worthy of the esteem of both community and the great city of New York. April 19th, 2013, the witness whereof, have it. Councilman Ruben Willis.
Good afternoon. I'm going to be reading my essay, Being Black in America. I'm black and I live in America, and honestly it's far from easy. Us blacks get prejudged and no one expects any positive from us, even ourselves. We violate each other and we get violated by others, and we just sit back and take it. Being black in America could and should be easier, but until we want that for ourselves, it will never happen. 10 years old, that's the age that problems are starting for most black young men. Father or no father, the negative things our men are seeing is overpowering the positive. Not only that, but the wrong things are being glamorized, and we are so simple-minded that we fall right into the trap. People already look at us as like animals, and because most of us focus on the wrong things, we act just as how they look at us. I'm 17 and I've known my father almost all my life, and it has done nothing for me. I got arrested when I was 13 and again when I was 15, and the last but most serious time was when I was 16, and all this happened because of what I've seen and been misled to believe. I thought getting arrested and having a record was just normal, which it is, but I would like to be abnormal and do something people think I could and never would be able to do. There's a young black man that I know that is 15, and he's serving the rest of his life in prison because he was misled just like me. Not only are we losing our youth, but we are losing our elders. No one really tries to help one another. We can say all we want, but we need to take action. We try and try, but in my eyes we try in vain. Because we try and try, but in my eyes we try in vain. Because if you're black, the higher powered people in life try to limit us to little to nothing. A lot of black people in America have higher education than other ethnicities, and to hold them down, they find a way to put dirt on our clean records and use it against us to keep us away from the top. To conclude, being black in America is hard, and honestly, us black people are not making it easier for ourselves. So, to anyone who cares, don't judge us because we're black, and to other blacks in America, nobody is going to care about us if we don't care about ourselves.
Great job. Give our young brother another round of applause. That young brother, he wrote an essay prior to that one, different one. I think myself being kind of careless, I lost his essay. I lost his essay. He was very upset. I said, you can do better though. So he came into group, my Friday group. He's one of the students that I teach on Fridays. He came in, he wrote it right on the spot. He sat there, and he wrote, and he asked me, was it good? I said, don't worry about what I think. It's not about me, just express yourself. And that's what he did. And me and my team, we read them and we went through them, and it was like, wow. Like,
Wow.
what we put out, we said that we were not rating the essays based on spelling, grammar, right? Not based on anything. We were rating them based on originality, based on the message and the passion. And when I read his essay, when my partners read his essay, we all said the same thing. Right? It's 17. 17. Good job. One more. This next young brother is funny story. You know, it's all a story. A story comes with everything. A story comes with life. Life is a story, man. A couple months ago, maybe last summer, I started to have a change of heart and change of thought. I started to want to take better care of myself physically. Right? So I want to get more rest. I want to eat better. Right? I want to put healthier things into my body so that therefore I can be healthier. I said I want to live to be 100 years old, strong. Right? I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be 50, 60, 70, sick. 70 is not old. We say, yo, you know, a person passes at 70, 80 years old, we say, oh, he lived a long life. That's not old. I believe somewhere in the Bible is written 120 years, something like that. And I believe wholeheartedly that if we take care of our body. I remember hearing when I was younger that if we take proper care of ourselves, the only doctor we will need is a bone doctor and a dentist. I believe that. So on my journey to wanting to, I guess you could say, heal myself and take better care of myself, better nutritionally, it led me to starting to look into growing my own food and, you know, and things like that. And I have no problem sharing my dreams, sharing my aspirations with anyone. Even if no one wants to listen, I'm going to share them. Listen, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want to do. If you don't listen, I don't care. Somebody's listening, and it's going to come back one way or another, right? So my journey led me to, you know, some grow your own food conferences and seminars and workshops and things like that. And I was at a seminar, at a workshop at City College a few weeks ago. And while I'm there, I'm talking to a sister, Sansala, who actually, her family was from South Jamaica, Queens, the 40 Project. She said before, it was like they said, before they even laid the grass. And I said, my grandfather's from right behind 40, 109, 157. So we talked, said we got a lot in common. My family probably know each other, she invited me. And I got there, I met a few people. A few great people, young people, you know, growing their own food and into great things. But one brother came in and he was energetic, and there was something about him. I was like, yo, who are you, man? Why you got so much energy? You know, what's your name? He told me his name. He said, my name is Mike. Mike Raven. And I said, Mike Raven, like a raven. And then, you know, I got jokes, like, you look like a raven. And we just joked with each other, and it was, I felt this vibe, and the vibe, so I told him about what we were doing. He said, okay, well, I can tell my little brother. I said, that's fine. You can tell your brother, but you can also write. And you're under 25. He said, oh, okay, I'll see what I can do. And the brother wrote an essay, he submitted it. And we had some others from Manhattan. They were very good, very expressive. But what we wanted was originality. We didn't want something that the school was going to give you, something that you're going to give to the school. Be original, be you, express yourself freely. That's what we built this to, free creative expression. And this brother's essay was free. It was creative. It was him. So without further ado, I'd like to call up Mr. Michael Raven.
Yeah, hi everyone. First, I just want to thank the Black Ends, the enterprise for this opportunity. It's been a privilege and an honor to be with these guys. And also, yeah, I'd like to thank my parents and my family really for just, yeah, thank you, Mom and Dad, and back. As well for not, because it was actually, it was my brother who sort of had me thinking about this, because my family, we're mixed. My mom is from Africa, my mom is from East Africa, Tanzania. And my dad's from the Bronx, but with origins in the, origins in the Dutch West Indies and South Africa. So I grew up with a lot of people telling me what I was and who I am, and these labels, there were a lot of them. It depends on which neighborhood I was in, how I was wearing, what school I was at. And I hid behind them, but none of them felt real. It was a facade. They were all veneers, really, for who I really was. And it's actually, I don't want to go too off tangent. I don't have my essay, so I'm not reading my essay. Oh, I forgot, sorry about that. But actually, there's this sports announcer, Mike Tirico, who if you guys watch MSG or ESPN, he's just a talking head. And he actually, he's a light-skinned dude, but he actually, because he never met his father, he said he never associated with being black. And I was with a bunch of my friends who happened to none of them were black. They were a bunch of just Caucasian kids. And they were all finding that really funny. And I'm like, I thought that was funny. But I told my little brother, and I realized I have two other siblings, and all three of us identify with different heritage, different parts of our identity. But at the end of the day, we're brought together by this unconditional love and by this sort of this bond and this unity. And what I'm trying to say is that these labels, these these social constructs, sometimes they're made sometimes they're wonderful. They're made to empower us, but a lot of times they can be divisive and polarized. And for myself, I found that the case for my first 21 years. I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah, so right now, thank you guys again, and I just like to say, as an urban farmer and as a grower in the city, it's important to, I don't want to go on a diatribe about eating healthy, but no, that's what it's about. In the black and Latino community, it's ravaged by heart disease and by type 2 diabetes, and those things are both preventable. Unfortunately, there are such systemic racism, structural racism, those are real. And there's a lack of access, there's a lack of opportunity to eat these healthy foods and to do it, especially when the people who are giving and saying that you have to do it aren't really taking true sort of understanding with the culinary heritage and the culinary history and the sort of the spirit and the soul that's in our traditions. And how close food is. Like, I know on my dad's side, unfortunately, we have a lot of fat Puerto Ricans. And, but we get together for everything. Everything's an excuse to have a party. And we love the food. Like my dad, he can't speak a word of Spanish, but he knows every dish. He knows every dish. The roscadules, the mofongo, he knows everything. And that's something that food brings us together. And what it really means to be excellent, what it means black power, black innovation, black thought, these all sort of stem from being in control of who you are and knowing what you're capable of. And the first step is just sort of taking control of your own body and knowing that no one can hold you down and that physically you're capable of this thing, because we're not there yet as a people. And that's the one thing I have to know, that, like, you know, our forefathers, our grandfathers, our fathers fought for us to be at the table right now. And it's up to us. We can't say we're victims of anything. We can't say we're victims or products of this environment. We have the opportunity to do something right now, and to continue to do something. And it's not about. We have to understand and be conscious of the past and what we've gone through, what we've done, and where we are now. But we have to sort of understand that the future. We have this now. We're here. We still have to have a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. And thank you for just allowing creating this theory for us to voice our opinions, to voice our sentiments, and channel energy with positive rhythm and a positive light. Thank you.
Citation. Whereas a great city is only as great as those persons who give exemplary service to their communities, whether through their participation in voluntary programs, through unique personal achievement in their professional or other endeavors, or simply through a lifetime of good citizenry. And whereas such service, which is truly the lifeblood of the community and the city, so often goes unrecognized and unrewarded. Resolved that as duly elected members of the New York City Council, we recognize that in Michael Raven, we have an outstanding citizen, one which is worthy of the esteem of both community and the great city of New York. Congratulations. Well, you guys tired of my stories, because we got another story we can tell you guys. It's always a story, and I'm thankful to have these stories. I'm thankful to be able to share these stories, because so many of my peers are not here to share their stories. So I'll share my story willingly, whether you're listening or not. Thanks for listening. This next gentleman. Growing up in Queensbridge, I played a lot of football, flag football. We played on the blocks. They had tournaments, but we was kids, and we played on the block, on the basketball court, in the grass. And there was always one brother particularly, his name was Corey. We called him Casual. He loved football, and he took a liking to my game. He would come and we would talk, things like that. And then maybe that was about maybe age 11 or 12. Then somehow he met my cousin, and they started dating. They're married with 3 kids now. Casual's a great guy. But through Casual, hanging around him, I was able to meet a brother, Mike. You know, we call him Wallerhead. You know, and that was my boy. And we had some great times together, man. And, it's my boy, he's a great dude. You know, Big Mike Wallace, Wallerhead. And I put the flyers up in Queensbridge. Queensbridge is where I'm from. That's where I spend most of my time. And that's where I do most of my work. Putting flyers up, you know, for the last few months, and I'm encouraging young brothers to write essays. And, they love me, they respect me, but they wasn't writing. They didn't want to write. Some said I can't spell. Some said this is stupid. Some said it makes no sense. Some said I'm not gonna win. I said it's not about winning. It's about writing. Express yourself. We have issues. Express yourself. I guarantee you it'll help you. If not now, then down the line you'll be thankful for writing. It'll take a load off your shoulder. And I'm from Queensbridge. I would have loved to see someone from my neighborhood be honored, but it didn't happen. Right? Or so I thought. And you know, as I went through, you know, as we went through the essays and we read them, and we said, okay, this is the 5 we're going to select. Right? It was Queens. I said Queens. Okay, well, Queens is supposed to be Queens. And I saw a name, and I didn't recognize the name. And I think a week or 2 ago, 2 weeks ago, I was in Queensbridge with a friend of mine, and we was sitting outside, and we were just talking about business going forward, how we're going to strengthen ourselves and our community. Both of us are from Queensbridge. We actually grew up together, a childhood friend of mine, someone you guys know, Miles. We was talking about veteran Queensbridge. And his brother walks up, big head little guy. And he puts his hand out, he's like, hey, Mr. Marston, how are you? And I'm like, he's like, Michael Wallace. And I'm like, and I remember the name from the essays. I said, hell, hey, how you doing? Congratulations, brother. What are you doing out here? He's like, I'm from out here. My family's from out here. I'm like, really? Okay. He's like, you know my dad? And I'm looking and it's not registering. It's like Michael Wallace, Wallerhead. I'm like, holy cow. Holy cow. And then as I thought about it, I remember him when he was young. I remember. And I'm like, wow, life is funny. Not only was I afforded the privilege to honor someone from my community, but this brother is like family. Truly. Like I said, I'm 29, and for the last 16, 15 years of my life, I spent quality time with Mike Wallace, his dad. Quality time laughing, joking, talking about sports, going here. And him and Casual, I would say, are intricate parts of my change, my progress, my development. They never gave up on me, even when others did. When others wrote me off and said, you're not going to be here by 18, you're going to be dead. These brothers took me and accepted me for what I was and who I was and said, yo, we believe in you, just figure it out. All the negative you're doing, take some of that time, put it into positive energy. So, without any further ado, I'd like to call up Mr. Michael Wallace, Jr.
I was going to get a haircut. First and foremost, I want to thank my family. My family came here. I'm very happy to see all of them. What happened was I saw the poster. I lived there by myself now, in my apartment, thanks to Mama. I basically lived by myself, and I saw this poster. I'm coming home from work, I'm tired. See Black Excellence, so here we go, something new. And something kept telling me, so I ripped the copy off, and I made a copy, and I put it back. Okay. And I said to my grandmother and my mom, so I'm thinking about doing this essay, but I don't know, I'm tired. Lord knows what it's going to be, so I said, fine. So before it was due, I wrote an essay. And I wrote an essay because it's important to me. Black excellence is the key to me because as a in high school, I'm in college now, it's my last year coming up. I did a lot of stuff in high school and even in college that dealt with black excellence. I'm very fond of blacks in terms of understanding our identity as men and even as women. I think there's a lot of stereotypes that we have on each other that needs to stop. And I think that people as brothers are not dumbfounded. We know what's going on. We know the situation. Sometimes we just act like we don't know each other. But I'm going to tell you a little something. He missed the part. When I met him, and this is why I'm going to say my essay a little bit, and what kind of bothers me about black brothers, because we're not like that. When I walked up to him, before I said to him, Sugar Ray, before I said to him, he was talking to somebody, and the gentleman looked at me. He didn't know who I was. First of all, I was dressed up from work, and I had a suit and tie on. So I don't know who they thought I was, detective, something like that. So they looked at me, he looked at me kind of sideways, until I said Wallerhead. That's why I said Wallerhead. He go, oh, everybody, oh, and they were open. That bothered me. Not only did it bother me because as brothers, we shouldn't have to just say hello to each other, get upset at each other before you even know the person. We used to be able to say what's going on, my brother, and get a respond back because we were brothers and sisters. And that was something that I wrote in my essay and what I'm striving for now in my excellence now. But I wrote this essay, and it says here, the quote, "If you don't accomplish here and now, the future may be what you intended," by Tiger Woods, has always been a major saying in my life. As a young black brother, I lived a great life so far. I was not poor. Grandma took us everywhere. Mama took us everywhere. I did have some major challenges, though, that are common through the young black man's eyes. As a young black man who was basically raised by 3 strong black women, my mother Angie, my grandmother, and my nana, Darlene, and of course the 2 great male figures in my life, my stepfather, Donald Colon, and my grandfather, Brian Larry-Moser. Excuse me. I was a humble individual who always had a dream of doing great things. It was not easy. Of course, I was judged for doing certain things that was not considered cool in others' eyes, but I believed strongly in Tiger Woods' quote. In high school, I started to understand more of my heritage, the beauty of blackness, starting to be a topic that I yearned for. I started to realize how important and beautiful my history was, back to the Great Harlem Renaissance, and even with different African queens and kings. I didn't know that lifestyle. I didn't know that that existed. I started to understand the more important themes of my life, such as family, respect, culture, and even the church. I started to go out, read major texts, The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Wilson. I read texts such as Claude Brown, Man-Child in the Promised Land, Roots by Alex Haley, Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou, and even took trips down 125th Street to just see the change in the dynamics of what is going on in the community today. I even went to go see a service at Abyssinian Baptist Church. Everybody asked me what my church home is. I told them I don't know. Because I went from St. Rita to Astoria Baptist Church with my cousin Jamise, and so many different churches. But the culture is what makes me so excited. But also, I went out to check out seminars at the Schoenberg Research Center Library on 135th Street in Lenox to hear great conversations about current issues and that were affecting the community. It was amazing. I was so amazed that in my junior year of high school, I just started to start a black student union. It was not easy to start up. Student government was not giving us money. They were a little arbitrary about us black kids coming upstairs 7:30 in the morning to do what? What was our focus? What were we going to do? My mission for the Black Student Union was to create a great safe haven for students of any color, of any grade point average in school, which meant that you can have an F average and you can be in the Black Student Union. Because not only does blacks only do sports, we are intellectuals.
Come on.
And I wanted the school in Berkeley to know that. We talked about everything. We talked about culture. We talked about the dynamics. We talked about prison rates. We talked about the school rates. Things and conversations, brothers. I had brothers in there that I didn't like, but we were in there. We talked about a lot of things. As I did the process and started it and I had to do a proposal, I had long chats with cafeteria, long nights with family. I was telling them about my ideas. The Black Student Union became one of the top programs in the Berkeley to this day. It reached a high peak of 30 members that we reached solid, and everybody graduated. All black men and the black women graduated on time, 4 years, and we got out on time and peak. Imagine that. So Bertram respected the Black Student Union. We was up there with student government and conflict mediation. To this day, Bertram still has the program, and I'm so honored because they keep asking me to come back, and I always make sure I go back. The Black Student Union at Murray Bertram gave me a clearer destiny in discovering my passion, and a clear understanding how Aretha Franklin and Donnie said how I'm young, gifted, and black.
Come on.
Myself and my peers at that tender age were all young, gifted, and black. I was showing leadership qualities by using my communication skills that I thought I never had. I noticed how it was taking my peers by storm as we formed different events such as the Black History Month show. We wasn't just shaking and grinding. We talked about the speeches of Malcolm X. We preached the lines of Angela Davis. we talked about the issues that are going on. He even preached Tupac. I'm not a rap fan, I'm an oldie fan, but I allowed it to slide for a little bit because everybody said I was a little old for school. Too much. But that's okay. Because I was going to make them do Teen Return, all types of stuff. It was absolutely amazing. The academics soared, averages went up, and I became to understand what things were going on. However, the most exciting thing about taking the position as president of Black Student Union, which they later gave me the title of president of the senior class, so I was doing both titles. I had names from Malcolm X, Nelson Mandela, more different names. But I'm surprised nobody called me Malcolm X, maybe because my mom was quiet. I gotta be careful. In our meetings, we discussed. Nothing was off topic. But in that discussion, I had an aha moment. The aha moment is what Oprah calls a moment where you look at something a little different. What comes out of it? I realized that it wasn't that black men and young black women just don't care. We don't know. We don't know who Medgar Evers is. We don't know who Cicely Tyson was in the beginning. We don't know that the essence of Oprah is unique, of owning the ownership of her own network. That came to me when I used to do a seminar. We used to put the names of people's names on the board. And I used to come in every Monday and Wednesday. We had names. It was simple names, but nobody knew who it was. And that bothered me. For me, understanding this was a major push for me to keep doing something to show that we could learn and strive for the excellence in black men. So during my high school years and even now, I always strive to be the highest example to others. I maintained the Black Student Union until I graduated, and even in college, I still represent for the BSU there. I wanted to be remembered as a place where not only young African Americans soared, but a place where everyone can learn about the African American culture and take part of a discussion in the way that you can make you feel like you can achieve anything. In conclusion, my life as a young black man is not easy. I've seen and went through the struggle on many occasions, not as much as others, but I have been through a few. I understand the police brutality. I understand that we're not equal as the other race. I totally understand that. But one thing I do understand as a black man, one black man has to go through in order to show is that you must stay focused. And you must keep your eyes on the prize. As a race, as we are, as young people, one thing that I did not like about us at times is that we forget that we have to get the degrees to own. We have to get the degrees to own. Because a man without knowledge is a man without scorn. We don't understand the principles and the principalities. I may not be the one that wears the pants down. You may see me with a Conway's bag. You may not see me dressed up all the time and prepped. But one thing you can say to me is that I'm a man of excellence. Because I'm a child of God. I didn't have certain limitations. But one thing that bothers me, we must move on. We must move on. And that's my goal. As a young black man, I work 4 jobs and pay for school and pay for my apartment. You can't tell me I'm not the busiest man. But one thing I can say to you is that when it comes to situations like this and events like this, I will always love my people. Black Student Union, we still meet up to this day. I network with jobs. That's what we used to do. Blacks used to say to each other, what do you want and what do you need and what time do you want it?
Yeah.
But nowadays, you ask some people, blacks, what we want and what we need, but they don't have the paperwork. We don't have the paperwork. And that's my goal, especially for the black man. I have dreams, I have goals. I don't want to be in Queensbridge forever. That's my little dormitory, my little cheap dormitory. But as one dream is to help other blacks and to achieve and live by great example. I don't live my life to wake up and say, who am I going to inspire? I live because I know that I come from greatness. And I want everybody to know that you come from greatness.
Talk about it.
My goal, of course, is, and actually what's so great about it all is just to remember that one thing. Black excellence is something that's great. We see it on the channel on Sunday at 9 o'clock when everybody's not really home on the NAACP. Different things. We are there. We do have degrees. But one of my main dreams is what I like about being honored about black excellence, because I'm honored by the mayor's office. I was honored by so many things. But what this opportunity gave me was the essence to know that my people liked what I had to say and was able to appreciate what I had to say and be able to share it to other people. Don't forget family. Don't forget family values. I'm the oldest out of 9, no 8. Yeah. Right, Grandma, please. No, can't forget Robert. But in all due respect, I always would say this in all due respect to all. Help each other. And be able to come together as one and show that you got love. I always said if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, somebody would say, Wallace at my funeral, he loved him some Tina Turner. Wallace loved him some Oprah. He was just the oldest soul. The one thing, he loved his family. He loved his friends. That's what we used to do. The movies, you may not have seen it, Claudine, all types of movies, look at it. Those movies may have been black exploitation, but one thing about them, they represented a community that was so strong. We need to go back to that. And in order to do that, once we achieve that, we will achieve black excellence. So once and all, I thank you, Sugar Ray. And one thing I must say to everybody, hopefully until you see me, my goal and dream, and this is a push for me to do it, and I'm trying to do my master's, is to get a fatherhood program together. I had a great father. I have another great father, Donald Columbus. And the essence of it is to understand that there's great men. We are good fathers. We are not just the ones that hit it and run. We are men better than that. Don't let the publicity fool you. We're more than rappers and NBA stars. We were scientists, we were doctors, we were lawyers, and we are owners. Don't let nobody tell you something different, not even the police.
Now we're gonna read.
Go ahead, Craig.
You alright?
Don't never
Good
do.
job, brother. City Council citation. Whereas a great city is only as great as those persons who give exemplary service to their community, whether through participation in voluntary programs, through unique personal achievement in their professional life or other endeavors, or simply through a lifetime of good citizenship. And whereas such service is truly the lifeblood of the community and the city, so often goes unrecognized, will be resolved that as duly elected members of the New York City Council, we recognize that in Michael Wallace Jr., we have an outstanding citizen, the esteem of both community and the great city of New York. Congratulations, brother. I had an award ceremony, and I talk a lot. People complain, some people complain as well. When we talk with a message, when we talk with everything that we say has value, then I don't think there's no such thing as talking too much.
Right.
Because if you're talking with a message, if you're talking for a purpose, and you're talking with energy, and you're trying to hit a point, sometimes you have to keep going. You have to keep going to get to that point. And sometimes it's not so much for the audience, but sometimes it's for us, the speakers, to hear it, and to talk ourselves into it sometimes. Sometimes, no matter how great we are, we might get discouraged. We do get discouraged. Sometimes we feel lonely. So, Michael, great job, brother.
Thank you.
We had another brother from the Bronx, who he's not able to make it tonight. He has a family emergency situation with his grandma. He doesn't know if she's going to make it. So we're going to send our blessings out to him and his family. And the Holy Thought, and some strength and healing and courage to his grandmother and his family as they go through the trying time. We're going to take a moment to reflect. Bless. This next brother is someone that, I invite a lot of people out to a lot of places. I've been doing a lot of events for a lot of years, art events, education events. And sometimes people show up, sometimes they don't. Sometimes people that you love show up, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's a room full of strangers. And sometimes you feel alone because you're like, where's my family? And I did a poetry event a few years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago. And it was one of those events, a few people showed up. But it doesn't matter if it's one person, we're going to do what we came to do. And his brother showed up, and you know, he said he saw the invite on Facebook, put it on Facebook, and he said, "How did you find out about it? I don't know you, right? Who are you?" He's like, "Oh, I'm your Facebook friend." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know that." Right, so we talked. It'd be like that, you know. You have a lot of friends, and you don't know everybody. You want to know everybody, but you don't. And it's just like that sometimes. Sometimes when you're on their night, when they're on your night, you never get the chance to communicate. But his brother said, he saw my post, he liked what I was doing leading up to that. He wanted to come show some support, and it meant a lot to me. You know, I take my supporters, my people in general who I engage with. It's personal. It's personal. I try to build a personal relationship with everyone. Everyone. I strive to build a personal relationship. I talk to not only share my story, but to listen to yours. And I listen to his brother's story, I listen to what he was into, and then after I met him, I began keeping up with him on Facebook, really going to his page, checking, seeing what he's into. Same things I'm into, art, he's into art, he's into progression, he's into excellence, he's into life. And I was like, wow, this is a good brother, So I of course, reached out to him, and others as well, we're doing this essay exhibition, Being Black in America. I would appreciate it if you write the essay. And he was like, "Oh, no problem, I'll write it immediately." I was like, "Really?" And he was very energetic. I was like, "Wow, that's incredible." And it's just always great to see young brothers, who may be going through their own things, or who are going through their own things, and who may be busy, but still take the time to do something that maybe if I didn't mention it to him, he wouldn't have thought about it. I mentioned it, and because he had the respect that he had for me, he did it. And without further ado, I would like to call up Brother Jamel Malik.
Before I start, I just want to again thank Sugar Ray for having the Black Enterprises and just being able to have this platform for young men between this high-risk age group to be able to express ourselves. Our personal journeys. Just a little background, actually. Before I even began to write this essay, I didn't think too much of it. I was of the opinion that, in comparison to others, or in comparison to my own journey versus others who might have achieved more or done more, I feel like I kind of fall flat. But I got rid of that mindset because I realized that my own journey is mine and mine alone. And I should never discredit it just because of death. Let's focus on ourselves and what we can do for others. So I would like to take the opportunity to share with you my essay, my views of what it means to be Black in America. Now, when I was first asked the question, especially by Sugar Ray himself, exactly quote for quote, what does it mean to be Black in America? I felt both confused and saddened at the same time. I felt confused not because I couldn't answer the question, but because I didn't think it was a question worth answering. Then I felt saddened because it reminded me just about what it means, about the perceptions of being a Black man in America in the eyes of both today's Black society and society at large. So in my opinion, being Black in America, it is a tough but unique experience. I remember from an early age I was being taught that I should always hope for the best and expect the worst. Always work harder and smarter to even be considered as hardworking as any non-Black person, and to be prepared to prove that my life, my livelihood, and my civil liberties are both worth acknowledgement and protection under the law at any given notice. And that's a lot of stress. Young Black in America, coffee on this cheek, no. But what made this actually, what made all of these things in my mind-numbing experience is that I was conditioned to believe all of these notions by other Blacks. And in almost all cases, the Black men and women that I've lived with or was mentored by, they wanted me to understand that my lot in life would always be a struggle because of the color of my skin would always outweigh the content of my personality. And always feeling the need to prove that I wasn't going to end up another statistic kind of took the weight of already being one. I'm a Black male, and I was born to a very loving, supporting, and hardworking mother. She's right over there, can give us a hand too. But at the same time, us both being statistics, I'm being born to this hardworking, loving Black mother who was also at the same time an unborn teenager. So life for both of us has not been a crystal stair by any means. And my father might have abandoned me, as I didn't have a lot of strong, positive male role models that were actively involved in my life. And I grew up in neighborhoods with a lot of gang activity, particularly Crown Heights and Brownsville, a little bit of East New York as well. But being born into that kind of environment, you know, and being exposed to all those things, it was really out of my control. So I no longer blame myself for my circumstance. And if you combine those factors with all of the mental conditioning that I had, all I was left with was low self-esteem and a desire to live a life that was not expected of me by society, even if it made me being unhappy. And I've made a lot of decisions regarding my future based on those negative and stigmatizing forces. So before I knew it, after graduating high school, I had already attended 5 colleges. I was majoring in things I wasn't passionate about, and I amassed a lot of student debt, strictly because I wasn't educated on what it truly meant to pursuing something that was for me, that made me happy. I was just going through the motions, as a lot of people do, especially our own people do, which is unfortunate. So I was taught that it was more important to do what I was supposed to do, because chasing dreams that does not guarantee a financially secure future is both rebellious, it is fruitless, and it's not worth respect, nor by man or woman. And when I was growing up, I just wished at times that people wanted more for me and pushed me in fields that I actually expressed a lot of interest and passion in early on, so that I can truly get the best out of myself and what was good for me. But then it wasn't until I became of age, I became an adult, is when I realized that everything that I was conditioned to believe from my elders, all they were really doing was reinforcing what their elders taught them. And this cyclical conditioning is damaging to the hearts and the minds of the next generation of black men and women. So by believing that they're not deserving of a life better than the ones they're currently living, especially if the belief is reinforced by blacks in the community, they may not live up to their own potential. So to the parents, and especially black parents, I just have these words. Just do not kill your children's dreams. Whatever it might be, just do not kill them. Just listen, inspire, and listen, and look, and me, I'm not a parent. But as a parent, I can understand you always want the best for your children, and that you want them to succeed, and you want them to be financially secure, and you want them to have these opportunities. But at the same token, you don't have to support every move that they make, and being parents, you probably won't. And you don't have to, and again, you don't have to support every decision that they decide to make for their life. But just let them know that they have your support, and that you support them. Even if it means them making their own mistakes, it's just theirs to make. And all you can do is love them at the end of the day. And I've been blessed to have been able to find something that I'm convicted enough to pursue wholeheartedly while having support from my loving family and close friends. My dreams of being an entertainer may not seem the most realistic given how difficult maintaining and finding work in the industry actually is. But in all honesty, I couldn't see myself doing anything else in this stage of my life right here and now. So the things that I'm doing now is just a part of my own journey. And while I don't know where I will eventually end up, as no one does, I will always keep moving forward, because the circumstances I was born into and raised will not ultimately define me. It will not ultimately define my presence in my community and my own life journey. And it does not infringe upon the success that I determine that I know that I will succeed at. So excellence, again, it's not a destination, it's a journey. We don't know where our journeys take us. Again, we could be dead tomorrow, or even tonight for that matter, God forbid, of course not. But again, I just want to, but again, this is my own journey. And it should, and excellence should be a journey that should always be encouraged. We shouldn't have to just settle, to be mediocre, because everyone within us has the potential. We have the ability to grow. We have the ability to change our lives. And it actually starts at home, and it starts from within. Once we're able to control that, once we're able to believe that it begins with us, we can move forward and inspire others. Because only what we do for others will actually last. That is legacy. But again, being black in America, just to sum it all up, it is a unique experience. But if the black community wants the next generation of men and women to not feel the one that the previous ones did, then it's time for everyone to make that change today, right now. So if you know someone, if you're a parent and if your child desires to be an entertainer, or even if they may not desire to attend school, maybe if they want to focus on a trade as well, that's just inspire them to actually do just that, and see if they are going to and just see if they are going to make those steps. Because my grandmother, who is not here, actually said that there are two things. There's ambition, and then there's being ambitious. Everyone has ambition, but you have to be ambitious. You have to take the step. No one else is going to do this for you, and the older you get, the harder it might seem. There are certain people here who might be working jobs right now that they're not, that they may not enjoy, or maybe just life just did not turn out for them the way that they actually did. But I believe that with the right encouragement, they can take those necessary steps. They can break away. They can find something else more than what it is that they're doing. You don't have to be the circumstance. You are not your circumstance. You just happen to be born into it, and no one was asked to be born. We just have to, we shouldn't pray for an easy life. We should just pray for the strength to endure a difficult one, because it is difficult. And it's up to all of us to make that change. And again, being here on this platform, being honored tonight, having my loved ones here, it means the world to me. And being able to share that with my community, it means the world to me, right here, right now. This is a movement, it's not a moment.
Come on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There go that $1 million smile.
City Council citation. A great city is only as great as those service to their community. Patient and voluntary programs, through unique personal achievement in their professional or other endeavors, or simply through a lifetime of good citizenship. And whereas such service, which is truly the lifeblood of the community and the city, so often goes unrecognized and unrewarded, now therefore being resolved that as duly elected members of the New York City Council, we recognize that in Jamel Malik, we have an outstanding citizen, one which is worthy of the esteem of both community and the great city of New York. Congratulations. Brother, you got two.
Oh.
Double time. Two is better than one, right? Let's give it up for our honorary. You guys did a great job. Very, 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 very. I said, words cannot describe, words cannot express. I repeat again, this is by far the greatest thing in my eyes that I've been able to do in my life. And regardless of what I do in the future, this will be still, it will be a key moment in my life because it's something that I always wished I had. Someone to bring me and my friends or me and peers together on a positive platform and to support us and to encourage us, to just express ourselves. So once again, let's give it one more. Yes. We're gonna wrap up shortly. Over the last few years, I've been blessed, through my journey of community work, to meet a woman, a female, who I believe is doing incredible work. Incredible work with young men, helping them turn their life around. She takes young men who've been arrested, who are in the criminal court system. She gives them direction. She gives them a place to feel at home. And through her work and through my work, through a similar vision, we were able to connect. And for the past year and a half, maybe close to 2 years, I've been able to work with her, all right? With her on my dream of working with young men. And that's the Friday class that I teach. Her name is Ms. Terrell Ebdimidaka, the Executive Director and Founder of the Mission.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
You guys sound a little down. Good evening. Good evening. We are here to celebrate Black excellence. That's something to be happy about, something to be excited about. I am humbled and honored to be before these young Black men of excellence, and I really do congratulate all of you. It is a journey, as was said, for you to get to where you are today, because so many of you do not make it to this age. So the fact that you were able to, you need to congratulate yourselves. Give yourselves a round of applause. I was, as Sugar Ray said, blessed to be a part of the Queens District Attorney's Youth Diversion Program. I actually started my own program back in 2005 based on certain issues that I saw going on with my own son. And he is an only child, so I'm looking at all of you, and he's around your ages, and I'm listening to the stories, and I'm saying to myself, this is what the Misunderstood Youth Development Center was built for. That's why I created that organization, and I'm glad that I'm able to help people like Andre Mitchell, and I'm so proud that he won this award today, and that he is a part of our program. They become like family to us. Sugar Ray is like family to us now, and we look to you, the family members, to help in this journey. It was said sometimes the young men don't have the family. They don't have the support. I've seen it. But I've also seen the ones that do have the family, that do have the support, and they can make it, whether you have it or whether you don't. Because guess what? With people like Sugar Ray, you now have an extended family. So you can look beyond the father who may not be there. You can look beyond the mother who may not be there, the brother you may not have, or the brother who's on drugs. Whatever your situation is, you can reach out, because guess what? There's people like Sugar Ray, there's people like the Misunderstood Youth Development Center, who is an extended family to not only the young men, but to their families as well. When Sugar Ray asked me to speak, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to talk about, because I could talk until tomorrow. And we were already talking about, how long the speeches are. So I recently published a book called Losing Love, Having Faith, and Finding Hope. And it is, in retrospect, about all of the things that were mentioned here. It's all about family, and it's about my son's life and the way I saw him being raised. So I told a story through his eyes. All of the struggles that he faced, having a revolving door dad, having a mother that was sometimes trying to overcompensate for not having the dad, and the way that it affected him, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the in-between. It's all in here. So I decided that I would read something for you, since we were talking about destiny, we were talking about where life can lead you. I decided to read something from the book. Bear with me, this is actually the first time that I'm doing this since the book has been out.
We're honored.
This is a poem called Destiny Awaits. Why do people run when the going gets tough? Running scared of their own shadows, like groundhogs looking for the first sign of spring. Why do people run when the best is yet to come, but the unknown is more terrifying than the bite after a bumblebee's sting? Why do people run at the thought of failure, at the thought of success, or at the thought of being blessed? We run in fear, afraid of our tears, the lessons learned that got us burned in preparation for what is to be, that thing called destiny. So fear not, for what he has in store is powerful enough to open all doors, gateways and highways leading you to a grand design made just for you. And it may not be what you had in mind, but it came for a reason, so just take time to explore unconditional love at the gate, because lo and behold, your destiny awaits. And that is for you young men.
We're gonna wrap up real quick. We got some food in the back, chicken, some salad. I wasn't being biased, so I was gonna get some chicken. But I figured that black people eat chicken. before we move forward, as I look, right, as I look at the generations, the different generations in my family and in society, and I see myself in my younger brothers. I always say you guys are me, but you guys are younger, you guys are stronger, you guys are smarter, you guys are quicker, you guys are sharper, you guys are more intelligent, you guys are brighter. Anything that I can do, you guys can do 100 times better, because you have youth on your side, and you have the wisdom. You're in this different age, the technology age, and you guys have the potential to be far greater than anyone who has come before you. So when I look at 25, and 22, and 21, and 17, then I go younger, and younger, and I see it. And when I was young, I knew I had something special, but I knew it wasn't nurtured. My dad had passed when I was young. A bunch of other things was going on, so I went through certain struggles that, of course, I wish I didn't, but destiny, right? I'm glad I did, because I'm here today. And there's one young man who, if I could go back and be 12, I would be him. He's charismatic, he's extremely smart. I think he was 8, 9 years old, and we took him to Harvard University to take a specialized test because he was so intelligent. So intelligent. And I was like, yo, this young kid is amazing. I see him in the kitchen make clouds. I seen him work on science projects. I seen him just be amazing. I was like, yo, that's amazing. I was never into that stuff. I was fascinated. And then listening to him talk, and I heard him give speeches and heard him asking questions about words that I didn't even know existed. And he was able to not only spell it, give me a definition, and use it in a sentence. I was like, yo, this kid is amazing. And I'm extremely blessed to be his uncle, his grand-uncle, his father is my nephew. And he has some words of congratulations for you guys. Kim Evans, my nephew.
Hello everyone, how are you all doing?
Alright.
My name is Kim Evans, I'm 12 years old, and I was born in Nassau County, Knoxville. And I'm glad to be here today in front of all you great people. And I just wanted to say that I'd like to thank all the people who made the essays. And I didn't get to read your essays, but the first one I heard inspired me to look past the stereotypes and things people say about you, and to always strive to what you want to be known as. If you want to be known as a stereotype, then go ahead and be. But if you do not want to, go past that. Going past means to excel or to advance. And if you can't excel, as in the word excellent, you are excellent. And you will excel past everything that you see blocking in your way.
And this is what I go home to. When the councilman spoke earlier, how do I have so much energy? That's why. Right? And his little sisters, these children, our children are extremely intelligent, our children are extremely bright and creative. If we nurture it, you have to nurture it. So now, as my job to be a big brother to you, it is your job to be a big brother to him. It's his job to be a big brother to them. Right? So we continue the cycle. We break the cycle of no one's there for nobody. We build the cycle of community, of family, of brotherhood, right? Of we love each other. We love ourselves, so we love our brother.
Alright.
And we have one more special, something very special for you guys, and then we're gonna eat, I promise. I promise. A few years ago, it was 4th of July. 4th of July. I had a friend on Facebook, and we was talking. He's an actor. And of course, you guys, I love art. I've done some stage plays and short films and things like that. And he's like, yo, we can meet up. Oh, let's meet up tomorrow. They know it's 4th of July. I said, I don't care. I'll make the time. Because remember, I take my relationships personal. They are personal relationships. And I don't believe in not working on a holiday or not doing this because it's this day. I believe in destiny. And I follow my spirit. And if the spirit says meet on this day, and the rest of the world's like, no, you shouldn't do it. If my spirit says do it, I'm going to do it. That 4th of July, I'll never forget. One, I met this brother. And he did something extremely special. We met at Bryant Park. And we talking, and actually what it was, I was in a magazine. I was in Lady Simone's magazine. And I wrote an article, and I wanted to give him. And we met and we talked. And, people bought the magazine, and I was signing. He was really like, this young brother is freaking awesome. He was signing autographs and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, this is what I do. But he did something amazing, and He did something amazing. He's going to do it here for you guys today. Another reason why it will never be remembered, and aside from his talent, but that day and him will be forever etched in my mind and my heart. That night, 4th of July, a young brother was murdered in my block in Queensbridge. And my niece seen it. My 12-year-old niece, she was 12 at the time. It was funny because it was like nothing to her. She's like, oh, the guy got murdered right there. She's like, oh, I never saw somebody get murdered before. It broke my heart. So, destiny, me experiencing that with my niece, and meeting him that day. And what he represented that day, he didn't represent himself. He represented somebody, something far greater than himself. Somebody was going over here. And I'm going to introduce him as himself. But he's not coming as himself. He's coming as one of our ancestors, one of our great leaders, someone who has done tremendous things in the history of the world, not only for black, but for all people. Brother Ronnie Hayman, as Dr. Martin. Don't cry, man. Don't cry, my shit. I love my new suit, man.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro still languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. So we have come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. In a sense, we have come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the Constitution in the Declaration that every American was the fall heir, this note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check. A check that has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. So we have come to cash this check. A check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxuries of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise out of the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all God's children. It would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. This sweltering summer of the Negro's legitimate discontent will not pass until there is an invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. 1963 is not an end, but a beginning. Those who hope the Negro needed a blow off steam and will be content will be in for a rude awakening if the nation returns to business as as usual. There will be neither rest nor tranquility in America unless the Negro is granted his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. But there's one thing I must say to my people who stand on a warm threshold which leads into the palace of justice. In the process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must continue to conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creative protests to degenerate into physical violence. Again and again, we must rise to the majestic heights to meet physical force with soul force. The marvelous new militancy, which has engulfed the Negro community, must not lead us to the mistrust of all white people. For many of our white brothers, as evidenced by their presence here today, have come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny. They have come to realize that their freedom is inextricably bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone. As we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back. There are those who are asking the devotees of civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We can never be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as our bodies, heavy with the fatigue of travel, cannot gain lodging in the motels of the highways and the hotels of the cities. We cannot be satisfied as long as a Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto to a larger one. We can never be satisfied as long as our children are stripped of their selfhood and robbed of their dignity with signs stating "for whites only." We can never be satisfied as long as a Negro in Mississippi cannot vote and a Negro in New York believes he has nothing for which to vote. No, we are not satisfied and will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. I am not unmindful that some of you come here today from great trials and tribulations. Some of you come fresh from narrow jail cells. Some of you come from areas where your quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered with the winds of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama. Go back to South Carolina. Go back to Georgia. Go back to Louisiana. Go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities, knowing the situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in a valley of despair. I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and equality. I have a dream that one day my 4 little children will be able to live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, right there down in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and every mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day when all God's children will be able to sing with a new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghanies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And when this happens, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet and every state and every city, this will speed up that day when all God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, thank God Almighty, we're free at last. Thank you all. Can I tell them real quick what you gotta eat?
Tell him, you gonna eat.
Well, thank you all very much. Real quick, why we love Sugar Ray, why I love Sugar Ray, because Sugar Ray has the ability to let God come through him and bring beautiful people together.
Hey, what's up? This is Sugar Ray, aka LaShawn Marston. You know, everybody's here behind me, man. Everybody's happy. That's Mike Wallace. Don't be sorry, brother. He's here. Everybody's happy. Everybody's been honored. We're here and we just wrapping up the Being Black in America essay exhibition, the honorary event. The young men were honored for writing essays on what being black in America means to them. It was my privilege and my greatest honor to award these 5 young men. You know, one couldn't make it due to some family emergency, but it was my honor and my privilege to award these young men, to recognize them for excellence in front of their families, in front of their loved ones, writing essays for expressing themselves. It was extremely beautiful. I've asked everyone said they had fun. Mr. Carter behind the camera, President Falls Live in the Hood, said he enjoyed it, said it was a wonderful program, and we're excited. We look forward to continuing doing it more. I thank our honorary speaker, Jermaine J. Everyday Smith. I thank my photographer, Darnell, Judy Diamond. I thank Kenny Carter, as always, man, Falls Live in the Hood. I thank Tammy Bender. I thank the Misunderstood Development Center. I thank Black Enterprise, my partner Nola Ron. I thank everybody, you know, I thank Life. You know, I thank Sam Lee with Encounters in Black Tradition Inc., you know, for connecting me with the videographer. And it was a wonderful event. I'm proud, I'm happy, I'm excited, I feel with energy. And it's April 19th. Tomorrow, April 20th, we're going to be at Queensbridge, Blessman Corners, 2nd annual. See you there. And remember, Black excellence.
I stink of success, the new black elite. They say my black card bear the mark of the beast. I repeat, my religion is the beat. My verse is like church, my cheese is peace. Now please